Real Madrid 0, Getafe 1 then is how it finished. You can see Real Madrid, lion's share of the chances, lion's share of possession, but once again, can't get it done. And what a gift this is for Barcelona, who find themselves 4 adrift at the top of the table. Incredible stuff there at the Santiago Bernabeu. Only the second time Getafe have won a game against their city rivals. For more, let's welcome in Mario Melchiot was watching this for us, as was Luis Garcia. Ali, I want to start with you. You look at those stats and people might think, Madrid were just a bit unlucky today, up against a great goalkeeper, a solid defence.
And no, they were not. There was something in the game that was repeated time and time again. Patterns of play. It was brought up by our commentary team, and Stewie kept mentioning it. And it sounds like a nebulous concept. Like, what does that even mean? Well, in the case of Real Madrid, it means, hey, how about you see some semblance of a game plan as to what they want to do in the attack, as they build an attack. And what is obvious to me, and it was obvious if you're watching the game, is that if there's no Kylian Mbappé, they're going to say, well, Vini is going to be really the player that is going to do something for us offensively. And rightfully so. But you have to have variety to your attack. If you're going to break through a team like Getafe that are so well suited to defend, organized behind the ball, there has to be variety. It can't just be the ball being played to Vini and then touch, which we mentioned at halftime. Nothing really comes of it. Turnover, and now Getafe goes in the attack. And this happened regularly. Again, as it pertains to patterns of play, there just isn't for Real Madrid. That's why it's brought up all the time. There isn't, hey, we complete a couple of passes here, we find the center forward, he drops the ball off, we find the switch to the point of attack to turn Alejandro on the other right-hand side. We've changed the attention from Getafe just from the left-hand side to then they have to go over to the right-hand side, and then we're serving the ball into the box, and you have attacking players joining from the midfield. None of that is happening organically for Real Madrid. There isn't a game plan per se as to how is it that we're going to break this team that is so organized behind the ball. And that in itself, it's troubling. It's troubling not because it's just this game, it's because it happens regularly with Real Madrid. That there isn't a real idea, plan, identity. How are we going to go about breaking teams down? It has been, up until now, individual brilliance. Today, that wasn't enough.
Yeah, Luis is at Getafe, let's not forget. 16 times in a row they've gone to the Santiago Bernabeu and lost. This is a game that Real Madrid traditionally win and win easily. But yet again, as we've seen throughout this season, Ali sums it up perfectly. There's just no cohesion in this side whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that is not from today or from the last week. We've seen the whole season when Xabi Alonso was in charge, even when Ancelotti was in charge. But some of the results, they were in their side, so they won a couple of leagues. At the moment, you could see that there is not creativity in the middle of the park, so those problems to bring the ball in good condition to the players up front. Today it was all about Vini Juniors. How can we bring that ball to Vini Junior as quick as possible, because he's the only one who can be a threat, who can be that line of 5 players that Bordalas, the manager of Getafe, has put in front of you, and nothing else. And we saw and we talked about it. Ale mentioned in the last game that Gonzalo played in the 11 started because Kylian Mbappé wasn't ready. He's a player who is good, very good in his movement, in his awareness inside the box, in his finishing, going in the air, but also with his feet. Alejandro was today in charge of trying to bring that balls to Vini Junior or to the players running from the midfield into the second line. Nothing happened in that occasion. No one chance Alejandro put a good ball for Gonzalo, or a good ball for Vini Junior in the run, or someone from the middle of the park. 3 midfielders, no one making any run into the second line. So in the end, for Getafe line of defense, it was fantastic. We just have to double up in the Vinicius Junior side, and that's about it. And that's what they did in the second half, and it worked perfectly. So in the end, Getafe deserved this win because they had a plan. They executed it perfectly, and Bordalas knew that at some point they would have that opportunity to score that first goal.
Mario, what would you like to say about this, sir?
Says, like if you play against a team that is, doesn't have the quality like you also have to remember that they're going to defend so fast. If you see the tempo they were playing in the first half, how quickly they even if they lost the ball, everybody was back in their position. So you have to come up with something creative. And I was waiting for something creative. And still, look, put everything to a side. Away from them not being so creative like what we expect from Real Madrid, they still had enough opportunities to score a goal. Because even towards the end, the opportunities, Rodrigo had two, Vini, of course, in the start he had one, and then, the header from Rudiger, and then I don't know what happened to, the young man. He tried to header the ball, Dean Huijsen, but I think he was looking at the post. Just like Ellie said, I think he was worried more about the post. So overall, what I think the key thing for them is, regardless if you miss some of your key players, like, an Mbappe and something that can open things up for you, and even when you're stuck, you still have to manage to open, and don't put it on one individual, because that one individual, like you guys said, they doubled them up and it's finished. One closes the inside, Iglesias closes the outside, and then it's finished. It's finished. You cannot dribble them.
What's Arbeloa doing in training, Ali? What are they doing?
Well, this is a very good question, Dan. And some people may think that is a joke of a question, but it's not. It is a fair question. What are they doing in training? Because it doesn't show up on the field. Now, this is what we do for a living. We watch games time and time and time again, and we analyze the games. And part of what we analyze and look for is, okay, what is the game plan? What is it that this team is going to depend on in order to win matches consistently? And I'm so surprised that Getafe sat behind the ball today. Everybody coming into this match would have known that was going to be the game plan of Pepe Bordalás and Getafe. So it should not be a surprise to Arbeloa, nor should it be a surprise for Real Madrid. And yet, what's obvious to me is that because there doesn't seem to be a game plan, and things are not going their way, and it's not as smooth as they thought it was going to be, instead of problem solving, they start pointing the finger. They start pointing the finger at the referee. They start pointing the finger at the other team. People are getting frustrated with themselves, with others. Now they're getting caught up with the boos of the crowd, and they lose sight of what's going to make them a successful team, and that is playing at a high level consistently regardless of the opposition. And so there is, to answer your question, because I've taken the cynic route to get there, to answer your question, I don't see what the work has been in training. And he hasn't been with the team just for a week now. It's been a while. You need to see what has been the impact and what is the difference of this group from what it was as to what you want it to become. And that just hasn't appeared. To the point that Luis was making, and it's something that I brought up at halftime, given the player personnel that you have on the field, if you have Alexander Arnold out there, it's because he's going to give you service. And there was no service coming because all the play was going down the left-hand side. And so it's not just us picking on Vini. It's not just us picking on Alexander Arnold. It's not just us saying that Gonzalo Garcia was ineffective. It's looking at the totality of the game and saying, if you have that guy over there and you're not using him, and you have this guy inside the 18-yard box and you're not using him because there is no service, because this guy is not providing service, and all the ball is over there, and you're being ineffective in what you do over there, why is there not a change?
Yeah.
And nothing really changed at halftime either. So it's not only what's not happening in the training facility, it's also what's not happening during halftime. You asked me when we went after halftime, what is he saying right now? I don't know that it really matters, because these players did not take that on board when Xabi Alonso was sitting on the bench, and they're not taking it on board now with Arbeloa either.
And there's evidence of that. Obviously, Luis as well mentioned Ancelotti, Mario. You think towards the end of his tenure, Xabi Alonso and now Alvaro Arbeloa, this is clearly a squad of players who aren't doing as they're told?
Yeah, because you know what the thing is? When you come at this team, you got to understand how you talk to them, because they're exceptional. That's why you go to Real Madrid. The Madrid is, you have a group of stars and you manage to make a team out of them. But the key thing is that you got to maximize it. Like, if you look at the game was not even like you're playing against one of the key figures in the league. What are they, 14th or something in the league? So if you play against them, you also got to remember, you only have a left winger. Okay, Valverde on the right, tucks inside. Then you have a striker, Garcia, that is waiting to do something. When you come on, it's different. And he had moments, you understand, I definitely saw him scoring goals and opening things up. But sometimes when the weight is really on your shoulder, you need a little bit more. And that is the thing that he now has to figure out. What am I going to do now? Is my team now going to play like simple and not being creative and don't use the intelligence of what every individual have and just put out my system and say, do this and do that? No, Madrid never been like that. The joy of Madrid is seeing, flexibility and seeing different things. That's why they buy so many stars.
Mario, can I ask you about Rudiger? I'm not suggesting that you've ever done this, but does he know what he's doing?
Come on now, come on. If this is an accident, I've never been a footballer.
Luis?
What, Luis, what? What do you want me to say? That he's an accident? No, it's not an accident. Half of the things that Rudiger does into the box, in his box, in the other opponent's box, in the middle part, half of them, they are on purpose. They is all intentional because he knows what he's doing. Every single time that he's going around and something happened around that it looks like, oh, no. I mean, sorry, I didn't want it. 100% of those is because he's done it in purpose. He's a nasty player because they are players who arrive, they are, sloppy, they arrive late, they kick you, but you know who are the nasty ones. You know that they do it, they are waiting for the opportunity to. Carvajal is another one. He's a very nice guy, but when he's on the field, when he's blocking you, when he's pushing you, he knows what he's doing. But that's the style of player that they are. But today, that knee is on purpose 100%.
Who tackles the ball with their knee from that sort of position? Nobody. Nobody does.
And oh, by the way, tackle. That's the one that can't tackle.
And if you were going to tackle the ball, first you would have had to have gone through the Getafe player that's laying on the ground, right? Let's assume that he's going to go and challenge the ball with his knee because apparently that's what he thought was the correct decision. Then why do you miss the ball entirely?
Yeah.
The ball is not even close to the face of the Getafe
jaw
player.
got in the way of the
Yes. It's his fault. It's his fault. Why is your jaw there? It is clearly something that was intentional. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's surprising that that VAR doesn't get involved, but then it comes down to the interpretation of, he was going for the ball and he was slipping with his right leg. No chance. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Bad news all round, really, for Real Madrid. Rubbish performance on the pitch, which, of course, didn't include Kylian Mbappé. Real Madrid released a statement before kickoff addressing his injury. And we've been talking about the fact, it's only a little knock. That's what Arbeloa described it as. Well, it's a strained knee, which has been confirmed. It is something he's been carrying for a while. Suggestions, of course, that it happened back in the Copa del Rey in that nonsense game that he started, chasing that record for the amount of goals in a calendar year. Luis, all round, this seems to be badly handled, and now Real Madrid are very much facing the repercussions of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that everything is definitely because we don't have all the information from the dressing room, but it looks like everything started from those moments. When Kylian Mbappé started this season, he started on fire. He was sharp. He looked fast. He was clinical. He's been the top scorer of the league, of Real Madrid, and the leader up front that was helping to getting the results. And I think that at some point he didn't realize that that's going to have a bad ending because you cannot play 70 games or 60 games a season at the highest level. There is no way that you can do it on these days because you got international games, Champions League games, LaLiga, and Copa del Rey. And at some point you have to decide where I'm going to be able to give 100% and when I have to rest. And I think that wasn't handled pretty well. At that stage, you could see that he was Kylian Mbappé not at his best, that he was having some little problems on the knee, and now we realize that it wasn't not just a little thing. It was actually something very serious that now he has to be taken care. Now that is the most important moment of the season. Everybody knows February, March, Champions League is back, the league is getting out to the end of the season, and those are the most important moments. So, yeah, I don't think that they have them very well. Not Kylian Mbappé and his situation, not the way that they have been using him during the rest of the season.
Can I just say that it's not a good look for Real Madrid when Kylian Mbappé decides that he is better off going to check with specialists that he's more comfortable in France. That all along this has been sold as pequeñas molestias, niggly injuries. He'd be fine, just a little rest here and there, and he's going to be good. And so you have a medical team of a club like Real Madrid that you have to imagine have the best minds as it pertains to this sort of injuries available to them in Madrid, in Spain. He takes a good look at whatever they've been doing and he goes, nah, this is not good enough for me. I have to go get a second opinion. It paints a picture of a medical team that doesn't know what they're doing. Now, I don't know whether that's accurate or not, but that's the picture it paints. And it also paints a picture that your best player, your most important asset, doesn't trust the medical team that you have available. Yeah. All of that is a negative. Because as it pertains from here on out, not only just this injury, but any other injury that comes forth for Kylian Mbappé, what do you think he's going to do? Yeah. Listen to this medical squad, or he's going to go to the ones that he trusts? And the ones that he trusts are not in Madrid.
Mario, how much of a case of this is Kylian Mbappé dictating whether he plays or not? We go back to the Talavera game, of course, in the Copa del Rey, scores 2 goals, but in paper, this is a game that Real Madrid should win easily against lower league opposition. How much is that him saying, look, I want to, well, it's got to be him saying, I want to play, because you can't imagine that at the time it was Xavi Alonso who stopped him, and you can't imagine Álvaro Arbeloa doing that now. Is it a case there isn't a strong enough manager structure in place to be able to tell him no?
Yeah, but this is not something this is not something that is only Kylian Mbappé had. We are all sitting there, you understand? We all are footballers. It's very difficult for a coach to tell us that we cannot play when we want to play. Because if we know that we're part of his starting 11, it's rarely that we say like, I don't want to play today. The chances are really, really like, yeah, if you bring me to, I'll give an example. We play Oxford out away in December when it's freezing cold. Yeah, I might say to you like, hey, guys, listen, this is a friendly game. Do I really need to play it? But when this is any game that you play in Spain or in the Champions League or for his country, I totally understand him. And what Ali said about injuries, I remember like even as a pro, and I thought this was already cleaned up. I thought it was cleaned up already then. I did not think this, we were talking about in 2026, that a player would come and ask to go to his country to do a rehab or a double check. I did it when I was playing in England. I did it at every team I was. I said, whenever I get injured, before I sign my deal, I said, I want to make sure that I can go back home to Holland and to make sure I have my own team there and fix me really quickly and quicker than you guys could do it. And they always turned up. And you know, like normally they will say like, it takes 3 weeks. I will make sure it's 2 weeks. So I always get the benefit of saying like, guys, you know what they can do and what you can do. But this shouldn't be. This is Real Madrid. It shouldn't be like that because they have the capability to get anybody there because anybody wants to go there. And when you talk about individuals that when they want to play and when they not play, look, of course we have experience. Of course we know when we have to protect ourselves. But when you're just a new player at Madrid, and I don't want to say very new because he's a top player, but still, he still has the feeling of I want to prove a point in the sense of when I can play, I want to score as much as I can and prove you, everybody is watching me, I am the guy that you should be watching. So that's why he's always going to play. Does he do it well? No, of course. This brings out that it was a bit too long.